Hey everyone, here I'm back again, not 2 years later, but just a few days later. It's funny because I just did a video on procrastination and change, and the very next day I was late to an appointment. And I told myself, even though I had stayed up late, I didn't need to set alarms, like it's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna get up, and using my kids to wake me up, so like it'll be fine. That's not what happened. So I just say to say I'm still a work in progress with that. Uh, I wanted to do this video because I want to talk about gratitude and contentment and also envy. And I had a situation with a friend, and I was talking to her, and she was telling me about this. It wasn't a project, but I guess like a program that she's been working with. And all the things she was talking about were things that I was interested in and wanted to kind of work with, whether it be like, not necessarily career wise, but just like volunteer wise or just as a side thing. And while she was talking to me, it's like I wanted to be like excited for her, but like I wasn't. And that like struck me the wrong way, or that like rubbed me the wrong way. And I was trying to figure out why I felt like that. And the more she talked, it was like I just had this feeling like, oh my gosh, this is great for her. Like, or I guess thought, like, this is good for her. Like, this is so interesting. I want to hear more. But then there was like this feeling of like, I don't know. It just wasn't a good feeling. And I didn't know what that was. Um, and so I prayed about it. And the word that came to me was like envy. And I'm like, it just didn't feel good to hear. And it also made me think about another time where I was looking at some artists, I think on Instagram or something, looking at her page, and I felt like I was like criticizing her a lot. And that thought came to my head again, and I'm like, I think that sometimes we have like a dramatic view of what an emotion or envy for this example is. Um, but because in my head I'm like, if you envy someone, you're probably like, it's like very obvious. But like in those moments it wasn't. It wasn't until I looked back or afterwards that I realized that's what it was. And so a couple verses that have been that stuck out to me. So in the letter that James wrote in the Bible, he sent this, and it said it was interesting, to 12 tribes that were scattered. Usually it's like to a church in the New Testament or in a lot of the letters or books. And it says, so James, the brother of Jesus, and in James 3 verse 16 it says, for where envy and self-seeking exist, confusion and every evil thing are there. And then well, I'll get into the other verse. So when I read that, I kind of saw how those two things tie in together, because when you envy or you want something you don't have, you are being self-seeking, because you're just thinking about what you want. And what's I gonna say? And it says, in confusion every evil thing are there. And then the other verse was Hebrews 13 verse 5, and it says, let your conduct be without covetousness, be content with such things as you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, I will not fear, what can man do to me? So those verses kind of stuck out to me. That I also have been reading lately, and I have also, all these things are things I've like recently become aware of, or more so, have a bad habit of judging myself and judging other people, and walking into a room or maybe a situation and thinking about like what's not there or how things should be, according to like what I think, and it doesn't produce like joy or happiness. And obviously well, I mean, I've noticed that it affects my mood, and I just want to practice gratitude more, like being intentional. And I feel like this year I have been more, especially since those situations. And I notice when I am. And so like if I walk into a room and focus on people's strengths or things about them that I would admire, it just like brightens your mood. And I'm not saying doing it just for you, but that also, your perspective can affect the way you treat people and, just the way you look at things. And so I just think I've noticed like the importance of that, and contentment. And like the last verse I read in Hebrews about, let me just go back to it so I don't misquote it, but it's saying, be content with such things as you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So when I look at that verse, I also think that, if you know that you have a relationship with God, that God is present in your life, then you won't worry about what you don't have or envying other people, and you're able to be content because you know that God provides for you and always, your physical needs, your spiritual needs, your need for like comfort or direction. And so it takes time, and it's like a practice, gratefulness, but and it takes time for that to go from your head to your heart and to truly know that. But I feel like once you do and you start practicing that, that can just change your perspective, and it's just something that's been on my mind lately. And one of my resolutions this year was to practice gratitude, and like at least one time a day, to just name something I'm grateful for or someone. So I just want to talk about that because it's something else that's been on my mind, and I feel like there's been a lot on my mind that I want to talk about. And just with these videos, I get like worried that I'm going to forget something or leave something out. And obviously I can, redo these and edit these, but I feel like for so long I've been trying to do it a certain way, so much so that I just don't do it at all. So I'm just going to do my best to get things together so there's some type of order with these. And I guess it's just these videos for me, it's like here's to not worrying about doing it perfect, but just doing it and taking action. So gonna try to be more consistent and see what happens.